Okay, welcome to our second session of Travel Diaries. And in this session, we will be presenting Patagonia and Iguazu Falls. So last year in the month of October, towards the end October 25th onwards, four people of KAOCA, that is Venugopal Pai, Vasan Shenoy, VP Mom, VP Shanai Mom, and Kumuda Pachi. They went on this wonderful hiking journey to Patagonia and Iguazu Falls. So they will be here sharing their travel experiences with us. So I will be handing this over to Venu to start the proceedings.
Thank you. Kedar, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I will have Vasant kind of kick it off. So Vasant, I know we had some original ideas. So if you could kind of share where we were and where we are now, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Renu and Kedar. So it all started, we've been, KAOCA has a very enthusiastic hiking team here. So we've been hiking for what? I don't know, like 7, 8, 10 years, maybe some of you guys even more than that. So it is during one of these hiking, we thought, okay, Venu and some of us were talking, hey, let's go to some longer hike, somewhere. And Venu mentioned, hey, how about Mount Kailash, Mansarovar? That seemed like a really good idea. So we started working on it, talked to travel agents and all that. Pretty soon we found out that, okay, it's going to take like 3 to 4 weeks for the whole thing with the parikrama and all that. 24 hours of travel time from here. We need to go to Nepal, all that, visa from there, jet lag. So we thought, okay, at this time, because of the time restrictions we had in our own lives, we couldn't afford to do that. So we thought, okay, let's go somewhere else. And we were thinking where to go. And anyway, so we canceled this plan. So we said, no, we can't do it. So then one day, Venu said, hey, how about Patagonia? So I was thinking, oh, Patagonia, why? And then Venu sends this amazing picture of Patagonia. And I was sold just right there. I had heard about Patagonia from one of the podcasts where the company CEO of company, Patagonia, the people who do the jackets and stuff, he was talking about this amazing place called Patagonia in South America, how beautiful it is and all that. So I said, okay, let's do this. And we were talking about it, and then talked to VP and Kumudaka at SDK. Hey, we were thinking of going. You want to join us? And they said yes. Few others also wanted to join, but I think they had some other compulsions, commitments, so they couldn't join. So 4 of us and one of Venu's colleague and his wife. So 6 of us were part of this team. And we did some research, REI, National Geographic, all that. And we said, okay, we'll go with the National Geographic for this. So that's how we started planning. So we started the brochure. We looked at it, right? What do we do? What are the things we can do in Patagonia? Because it's like Himalayas, if you think about it, right? So Himalayas, if you can think about it, it's in India, Nepal, China. So it's vast. So similarly, Patagonia is, it covers Chile and Argentina, southern part of it. So we said, okay, what do we get to see? So we get to experience Patagonia's pristine beauty. And we can cover 2 national parks, Torres del Paine in Chile and Argentina's Los Glaciers National Park. So we get to go on foot from backtip horns of Cuernos del Paine and ice-clad pinnacles of Mount Fitzroy. Hike along the sapphire-colored lakes, and there are so many of them. And then get to see icebergs of Torres del Paine and Los Glaciers National Park, Perito Moreno Glacier. So we thought, okay, and we also get to see a lot of wildlife, right? Andean condors, guanacos, eagles, foxes, and those are the things that they sold us. and we were not sure whether we get to see all of them, but it sounded really interesting. So, and this is our team, the photo. So we'll come back to this later. Next slide, Venu. So this was the itinerary. So what they said is that hike the famed W circuit. And if you do a Google search of W circuit, this is what you'll see. Chile's Torres del Paine National Park, trekking amid the twisted peaks of the base of Los Torres sheer granite walls, right? And trek through Los Glaciers National Park in Argentina, following the trails of serene lakes, like many of them, as I said, Cerro Torre, Fitzroy, and experience the power and magnificence of Perito Moreno Glacier. It's one of the amazing places we have seen, actually. And then unwind in some really good hotels and refugios. And refugios, nothing but, you know, it's one step below the like regular hotels, but the places that we got to see and stay were really amazing. National Geographic did a wonderful job, so we'll get to see that in the next 1.5 hours. And bonus for us was food and the company, and we'll talk about that during our next 1.5 hours, and we as we talk about this. So this was the itinerary. So we first arrive into Punta Arenas. This is where National Geographic, you know, they will start their guided tour from. Punta Arenas is at the southernmost tip of South America. So we arrive there, spend a day there, and then go to Torres del Paine National Park, stay at Hotel Lago Grey, then start our hiking journey from there. Next day is Grey Glacier, and start the first leg of our W hike. The whole W takes like around 3 days. It's that each leg is around 10 to 15 miles. French Valley, so that's also part of the same W circuit. And then after, this Paso Los Cuernos, this is the last leg of the W, and Torres del Paine. And then we head over to El Chaltan, which is a very small town in Argentina. So it's part of the Los Glaciers National Park. Then we stayed there for 3 days. Mount Fitzroy, hike there, Cerro Torre, and then go around El Calafate. It's another town, and stay there one night and hike around there. And then the next day was we end our the adventure with the Perito Moreno Glacier. This was a beautiful place, and we'll share our photos. So where is Patagonia, right? So if you see here on the left-hand side, this is where San Francisco is. To get to Patagonia, we had to first go to Dallas. From there, we went to Chile, like Santiago, and Santiago down to Punta Arenas. That's the southernmost tip that you see there. And it is around there, when if you can hover over there, this is the whole Patagonia place where we went is around there, where Venu is hovering. And our hiking place was all there. And then we spent 1 day in Santiago, and we'll talk about that. That itself was an adventure. And next we went to, after the hiking, we went to Buenos Aires. And VP Kumudaka and I, we came back to San Francisco, but Venu and his colleagues went to Iguazu Falls. We'll talk about that also. And he came back. So VP, you want to talk about Santiago?
All right.
Right.
Okay, great. Before we go to Santiago, I have to give some background. We were about to leave, and then there was a major revolution in Chile. Chile is one of the quietest countries since the 80s. The economy was in the best shape, but just around October 22nd or 23rd. There was a major revolution against the existing administration, and there were like 18 people killed on the day we arrived. So, I was thinking I'm going to drop out. And I think I spoke to both Vasant and Venu saying, how do you guys think? Should we go or should we not? Because you don't want to be caught up from the airport to the hotel and all. So we were trying to get on the latest, but here is the summary. Finally, we took a chance and said, okay, we'll go regardless. I was watching the Department of State's thing also. Anyway, by the time we arrived, obviously there were like 20 to 30 casualties in the city of Santiago, which is the capital, and all over Chile, including Patagonia. There were a lot of protests going on, except in the national parks. So once we leave Chile, meaning Santiago, there was no much information because hardly we could read about it as much. Maybe we started hearing it as we ended our journey near El Calafate. That's also a major town. But here we are, some pictures. So we did our best to go through the city of, we had a nice hotel. Even the hotel clerks were helping us where to go, how we need to be careful. I think as you can see on the main screen now, city of Santiago is very old, has a lot of architectural specialties, a lot of fountains, which is very typical of the Spanish countries. There's always, the city has always the armas, where the city center is always called armas in Latin American countries, where there is activity on Saturdays, Sundays. A lot of army-related, marches and all happen there. So we are now going through, middle of the city. I think we went out for a lunch, asking the city people, the hotel people. They asked us to be careful, but at the same time, we did our best to be safe. So we chose a path where we can see some of the architectural beauties, and it shows up in our next couple of few slides. But what Reno is showing here is, this is a picture of, I think, the museum. Everything was closed. And you can see right behind us, there is some write-up called evade. Evade is like a resist, against Trump. There was similar statement called evade, evade. Evade in Spanish means, don't care about this president. He was very corrupt. But the economy in Chile was one of the best out of the Latin American countries. We were just lucky enough to see some shots, but we couldn't do too many things in, especially in Santiago. We had a lot of plans. Where we stayed in the hotel, Cristobal is one of the topmost hilltops where we can go and see the entire city area for miles and miles. We could not do that, though it was walking area. Everything was closed, just like what is closed now here. We couldn't do that. So, but as normal citizens, we could walk around while taking the risk. During broad daytime, we went through Santiago, saw some of the highlights of the city, and that's what some of the pictures that you saw in the last few slides. So that's so much about Santiago. Unfortunately, the revolution put a stop on our that part of the travel, but still we are happy. Even though we took a car from airport in Santiago to downtown Santiago, that itself was reveling enough. The drivers were talking about the administration being very crude, not helping the lower strata of people, economic class, and so we could see that all in the waters that you saw red in the one of the fountains. It kind of depicts our revolution, saying we are willing to shed our blood to get our freedom and such. So this is just and most of the fountain waters were redded, meaning they put dyes to show symbolically, this is not actual dead, blood here, but it's kind of symbolic representation of the revolution that's ongoing. And we were scared, even when we come back, we are not very sure. it was already in Argentina.
Yes. So I had to change my flights because there was a curfew between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. and my flight to Punta Arenas was at 4:30. So I had to change my flight to the previous evening. Those flights were already booked, so I was lucky to get a seat on a flight the previous day. So I got to Punta Arenas the previous day of when Vasant and VP Mom and Kumudaka were about to show.
Yeah. So one other tip there, since you're traveling overseas, it's always good to register with the Department of State. They have a website which gives up to date, and you can give your agenda where you are leaving, and you can in fact put your entire itinerary just in case you get stranded for whatever reason. And looking at even today, what's happening in the post, this current situation. I was reading 2 days ago, which is highly advertised. One guy from Bay Area got stuck in Argentina for last 60 days in a Argentinian whatever. It took him long time and hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars to get over here. Finally he came back to Fremont, I think, where he is from.
Yeah.
So, but by registering in that website, eventually somebody will locate you just in case you get lost.
Yep.
So that's something, and they also up to date with any country anywhere, including Chile and everything. So that's just a small tip.
Yep.
Yeah. So next day we had to leave for Punta Arenas. So Punta Arenas was where we had to fly over some of the mountains that we were going to start hiking through. Mm-hmm. So here's an example of a picture that I took from the plane. And here's a video. Hopefully this video streams for you well, but this gives you an idea of what we'll be hiking through.
Venu, maybe you should talk about the weather. Is it a summer or spring or winter?
This was late October. Yeah. So this was early spring in the Southern Hemisphere. So things were just getting warmed up as opposed to becoming a fall here. So here's a view of a glacier that we will be walking very, very close to. You'll get some very amazing pictures of the glacier. And this is the view from the top. And you see this picture. This is the Torre del Paine peaks. And about 200 slides in, you'll see us standing underneath those peaks.
That's how big they are, yeah.
Yeah. And so here's the picture of us, from a aerial view, and this is the Straits of Magellan that we slowly start landing into, which is where Punta Arenas is based. So if you look at where Punta Arenas is, it's right at the bottom, and these are all the Straits of Magellan. And so when we landed at Punta Arenas, is when the actual hike started getting real for us, because now we're completely away from the big city. And I stayed one night in Punta Arenas, and the Punta Arenas is, again, the riots are there as well. And this is Magellan the Explorer. And there's a statue of Punta Arenas that you can see as well. It was a very, very clear day. So we were very excited about what this could be for the hike. And here's a view of, it is a riot, but again, it's a very peaceful riot. So I was walking around Punta Arenas, and you can see everybody is, calm, just showing their discontent with the government. And here's another view from the hotel of the protest. So this gives you an idea of how touchy it could have been. But again, because we had somebody like National Geographic to guide us with local people that were telling them what was happening, we weren't left wondering what was going to happen if we landed there. So we always were well informed. We were able to text with the right people and get information. Email was within a couple of hours away. So it's very, very helpful to work with somebody like National Geographic who had an expedition manager that was always available to chat by phone or email. So that was a big, big push for working with somebody professional like a National Geographic and REI. So next day we went from Punta Arenas. So I stayed overnight in Punta Arenas. We picked up, Vasant, VP Mom, and Kumudaka the next day. And this is when we start heading into Puerto Natales, which is just closer to Patagonia and where we would be hiking. So this is kind of the trail from where we went by bus from Punta Arenas all the way for about a 3-hour bus ride into Puerto Natales.
Vedo, just a quick one. Punta Arenas.
So, Vasant, was this you that was going to take?
No, VP next year.
Just a quick one. Punta Arenas is the last commercial airport in the globe, pretty much.
Yeah.
And this is what they use to go to South Pole. Quite a few people from here go to the South Pole. So we are within 20, 30 miles from the South Pole here. So you can imagine it's windy, it's cold. So we'll talk about it as we go, because Patagonia is another acronym for changing weather.
Yes.
You can continue, VP.
VP, continue on to Puerto Natales.
Oh, Puerto Natales, I live in already.
Yeah, we're getting there. So this is on the road, right?
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. So the bus drive is fantastic, because remember, Argentina and Chile are both kind of, sparsely populated lands, even today. So what happens is there are two main agricultural products and the animals. One is the horses. All are horse ranches, and the gauchos, who are this guy is a gaucho who is riding, is like a cowboy. They're always drunk or something, and you can see the dog in front of him trying to manage the sheep. Sheep being one of the biggest, largest.
Here they're checking the fence because it's hundreds of kilometers, so they're checking the fence to make sure that fence is not broken. So
correct. And then on our bus drive, we had a very good drive. A local guide who tells us everything about 3 hours of nothing but history about Argentina. In this case, Chile, because we are in Chile. Focus is more on Chile, and then a lot on Patagonia.
The guide was very familiar with all the Bollywood stars.
Yeah. He was dancing to some music.
And we start seeing the pictures of what is real, what we saw in pictures, right? The first picture that you saw.
Yeah.
It starts getting real.
Reality.
Yeah.
It's like Himalayan foothills.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think finally we arrive into this Hotel Costralis. I think on the day one, that is what where we stay from checking in to the reception dinner, and probably get a overview of the upcoming hike and such. I think this room, I think this is the reception dinner preparation, I believe, right?
This is the reception where they started sharing more details about the event. You see the maps underneath.
Yeah, this is where our guide was talking about what's to come for the next 10 days for us.
Everybody synchronizes their travel plans, so we could all be there by dinner time, like 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, because everybody does different routes coming into there. But in this case, almost 99% of the people were there. One might have been a little delayed. I don't recall now, but there was one person delayed, but nothing changed because of that. So they'll always make some adjustments. So this is how we get introduced to whole travel. The food is absolutely phenomenal, and they customized it to vegetarianism for people who want to be. Kumuda, myself, and Vedo.
Vasant.
I'm not vegetarian, man.
Vasant, yeah.
Vasant,
yeah. So they are very picky about that. If you want to do vegetarian, they'll do that. Fish is allowed, meaning they give you fish also if you want to specifically fish. So that way, everything is customizable. You play with your leader here. We'll introduce you the team as we go forward. And this is the first day dinner where the entire team introduces each other, including the 3-person guide team. The guy right in front of us, his name is Yasser, and he goes by Yasser. He's actually a Lebanese immigrant. Immigrant meant not a first generation, maybe third generation, but He's proud of his background coming from Middle East. And then there are, that is near the cursor. That is our main lead, Cecilia, or what's her name? Cecilia?
Yeah, Maria Cecilia, Cici. Yeah.
Maria Cecilia Gonzalez or something.
Yes.
And she is very, very knowledgeable. She has done, and she has been with this organization, National Geographic, for a long time, and she's very knowledgeable.
20 years.
Yeah, very knowledgeable on the terrain and all the problems of clients like us, if there is any. And she makes sure that everybody is fully equipped before we get out of this place on our first hike. And this is where Porto Natales plays a major role. It's like a very picturesque town. Pictures, if you go to the town, we don't have any pictures here apparently, but it's like a real Monterey type of town. A lot of Hollywood personalities come and stay there during summertime. Nice little, getaway town. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
I believe this was this was for us right outside of our room, right? Venu?
Yeah, this is outside our room, and this was the next morning.
We woke up to this.
Yeah, this was the next morning, early morning, when we started to get ready on bus to get to Lago Grey.
Yeah. So one other thing, important thing here is that during the introduction, CC told us, hey, if you don't have these items, make sure you get it today because this is the last chance you have.
Yep.
So some people did not have their rain gear, windshield, other stuff. Prices were like 3 times over, I guess. So some people who had not brought certain things, in spite of National Geographic telling us, so they had to run over there to get stuff because if you didn't have that, we realized later that they really mean it, and you'll see that why.
Yeah, actually, I was the beneficiary of that. What happened is, Kumada did not have a rain hat, so there it was selling for $120 in REI, $40.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, but nevertheless, if you want to enjoy it, you have to have 6 layers of clothing at one time. Sometimes you have to be fully layered.
Yeah.
And that can happen in a 3-hour slot. You start with 8 layers and you end up in 3 layers. You can see during our hike pictures, but Natales is the place to fully equip yourselves and then start the entire journey from there.
Yep. So next day we started off to Lago Grey, and Vasant, you want to kind of take us through, or go ahead?
So we started from there. Next day we are going to Lago Grey. That's our destination. That's where our hiking starts. Lago Grey is Lake Lago. I think that's the lake. Grey Lake, actually. Grey Lake is it's on the bank of that Hotel Lago Grey. So we start. It's like a 2-hour drive. On the way, we get to go to this place called Milodon. So if you can go to the next slide there, it's a very old place in the sense there is a cave there. It's pretty big, It's like half a football stadium, maybe larger. You can see that. People, I think that's VP and Kumudaka inside the cave, right?
Yep.
Pretty big. This cave is around
14,000 years old. It's 14,000 years old.
Yes. So cave is around 25 miles from Porto Natales on the way to Lago, our next destination. It was discovered during 1800s. Cave and surrounding area are rich source of information for archaeologists and paleontologists. And the photo that you see there is of that of animal called Milodon, which lived like 14,000 years ago?
14,000 years ago, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It's that old. And that's why the name comes of that. And they had a park where they showed all the animals that lived around there. And these
actual sizes they estimate, yeah.
Correct. And these are the things they did by excavation. They're not there today, but this is a photo they kept in a park. It's like metallic, not photo.
Blacks.
Yeah. Yeah. So very interesting place. We spent 1 hour there, and then we continued on to our journey towards our. This is on the way.
Group
this is the first time we get to see the horns at the over there. that's where we go eventually. On the way, we saw several lakes that you see behind there, pristine, clear, green or blue, amazing, really. I mean, yeah. This is another photo of the lake. Amazing, amazing scenery. It was very windy and cloudy. The sun would come, clouds would come, and they go away. And several times they had reminded us, Patagonia has 4 seasons, and all in one day. So we could see on our way to our hotel. This is another close-up of the Venu's.
These are Venu's camera or iPhone?
Some of them are from mine. So this close-up is from Venu's, I think. Yeah.
He had a fantastic camera.
Yeah.
All the pictures can be printed so well.
Yeah. This is the entrance to the national park, Torres del Paine National Park. And then we eventually come to Lago Grey. This hotel was really, really good. This is again the hotel room, and we could see the glaciers outside of our room. We came here, checked in, went for lunch. Really good night, so you can see
fantastic food.
Yeah, very good food.
And then cappuccino. Yeah.
Venu means there was cappuccino every day.
Yeah.
He had associated himself with now cappuccino. All the people knew. Venu means cappuccino.
Team which went with us, around 15 people, I think.
Yeah.
We had like 3 guides along with us. So guide 1, there's a second guide. The third one is, I think, is not in the photo there, but
I think he's taking the photo. He's taking the photo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then next slide,
Yep. So next slide is when some of us decided to go closer to the lake, and it was pouring rain. So it was a choice of whether we want to go or not. It was snowing, part raining, part windy. And as you get closer to the lake, it got windier. So it was really a choice of whether some people wanted to go. So some of us decided to, cross the bridge and head down closer to the water and get a first glimpse of these ice floats, glaciers, right, that break off from the bigger glacier, which because of global warming, you start seeing a lot more of these than they did in the past. So this is the boat that we will be going on tomorrow, the next day, for getting and starting the hike. So we got a glimpse of what it was going to be like, in hiking in Patagonia weather, rain, wind, snow, sunshine, all at the same time. And then the next, we got back to dinner, and it was October 25th, 2019. And October 25th, 2019 was Diwali.
Oh, Diwali, yeah.
So we celebrated Diwali. So they surprised us with food.
Tour guide gets an idea we should celebrate.
It was a great way for everybody to bond because everybody got to know what Diwali is. We started sharing information, cultures. So it's a very good way of bringing the group close together.
And this is done by the hotel staff. Happy Diwali.
Yeah.
This is a video, I think.
So these two are from India. Happy Diwali, Vasant. Happy Diwali, everybody.
So we
And
were
then to
talking
celebrate it at the end,
Yeah.
we had a special dance as well. So they made kheer for us as well, and we played some Hindi music.
Yours truly, VP is dancing now with his.
So as you can see, it was a great way to kind of kick off and get to know the group. And then next day morning, we started getting ready, had our backpacks on, and we had to plan for 2 days, right, Vasant? So take it from here for the hike, Go ahead.
I was nervous to start with because average wind is about 30 on a quiet day, 30 miles or 30 kilometers. I don't know which one, but definitely cold, definitely. So fully layered up, don't know what to expect, but here we are.
Yeah. So the guide would tell us, how to dress. Most of the days it's on layers for sure. And this next 3 days was interesting because we were moving from one place to another, and they didn't want us to carry all our stuff with us. So these porters, if you see, they took most of our stuff, carried it with them to the next 3 days, and rest of our bags they took it to the fourth place where we were going to. And this stuff only they carried the stuff that we needed for the next 2 days.
They call it day pack.
Day pack. And they, I think it's like 5 pound or 5 kg. I don't remember.
5 pounds. It's 5 pounds, 3 kilos.
There are like 4 of them, I think. We had to carry all of our stuff. So, and that's because, we only had to carry whatever we needed for the day. And our clothing and all that they carried, the porters carried, which was very nice of them. So this was our first day of hike. And if you see the bottom part of that thing, that shows elevation gain and our pace. And if you do the Lago Grey hotel, we started a small hike, went to near the beach, and then it was the straight line that you see is the boat. And after that, we got down from there. We went very close to the glaciers. And next part was the first part of the W
hike.
And yeah, so this is where we started. Next one, yeah, this is the boat we went on.
It's a catamaran. Okay, so
yeah, we were inside, which is very nice. It's covered because it was extremely windy. You can see all the icebergs out there. And as we were passing, it's like a hour-long journey to get to the glaciers, and we got to see a lot of icebergs. And they said it has been increasing because of global warming. Very nice though. Very nice to see, but very sad to see also.
Venu, cappuccino ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಬೋಟಾರಿ ಕ್ಯಾಟಮರನ್
ವೈರಾ absolutely natlam boat arva chanakila. So I'm keeping the video going because for a lot of people, they get to see the glaciers up close and personal.
Yeah.
Vasant, why is it blue?
The clearer the ice.
Clear the ice, yeah. And the water, if you can see, it was gray, and that is because of the minerals of the lake there. And
that's why it's called Grey Lago. Lago is lake. Gray is gray.
Gray, yeah.
And partly because this ice grates against these rocks, and that's what gets us silt down into the lake. So that's what makes it very gray.
And now we go very close to the glaciers, and now we can see, right? So there are 2 parts you can see of the glacier, and in between there is a small land. Few years ago, I believe this whole thing was one big glacier, and because of climate change, they're saying that now it has split into 2. Now there is a landmass you can see, which is very sad, right? And yeah. So this is us. As we came closer to that, we got out of the boat, and we could see it very close. This is us. We took a small hike, and we got to see very close to the icebergs of the glacier. We could almost touch it. It was that close, actually. Very, very, very beautiful. And you can see behind there, right? The glacier ice keeps going as far as we could see. And we got to see something like this, several times, by the way. This was just to see, just the first of many glaciers we got to see.
Yeah. If anybody wants, these pictures, please let me know to show your kids. more than happy to share them with you to explain and show them what it's like. So please reach out to us and we can share these pictures with you guys.
Yeah. From
Okay.
here, we started our first part of the W. This is, you can see the snow-capped mountains on the left-hand side, and right-hand side is the lake. And we start hiking, and we stop somewhere for lunch. This is the packed lunch they gave us. Every day they would, if there is every day they would give some packed lunch for us on the way, because we are somewhere in the middle of somewhere. This was very tasty. So Venu, take it away from here.
And they would always make sure, like VP Mom said, to keep some for vegetarian, non-vegetarian choices. So they always were very aware of what we needed. So that was a very, very great thing for us to know. So as we hiked past lunch, we started getting the grandeur of the mountains that we were, starting to be almost see it as background all the time, because there's so much that we were seeing. And it's amazing to make this part of the background, continue to talk and continue to just walk. Because initially it was very fascinating to see. Now it's just started becoming part of the scenery, which means we're really starting to enjoy being part of Patagonia. So this gives you a flavor of the ups and down hikes that Vasant talked about. And this is for us is, it was like, oh, this is a big hike. It was the early part of what could become very, very, steep later on in through the 5-10 days that you'll get to see a little bit more. So this is a good flavor of us, taking breaks very often. The guides were very good in noticing the pace of the people and making sure that we stopped off whenever we wanted to take water. When there was a windbreak, they'd take the windbreak and have us sit and have snacks or needed. So it's always a way that they were aware of what the group was doing and made sure that we stayed together and we enjoyed and had fun. So it was a very, very good way for making sure that we as a group worked as a team. Okay. And then as we started walking, we crossed some of the rivers that were caused by the glaciers, and we start getting into the Refugio. So this is an example of the Refugio that we're staying at. So like I said, it looks like a hotel, but it's really bunk beds and things like that. So Vasant, you want to take it from here?
It's like Hotel Awani in Yosemite.
Yeah.
This is one of the smallest of the refuges we stayed at, right? This is a bunk bed, and you can see the snacks from Venu there. By the way, Venu got so much Indian snacks for us, not just for Venu and me, because we were roommates for the 10 days. And he carried so much, like he would share with everybody in the team.
Chakuli, kero,
Mixture.
Mysore Paku.
Mysore Paku.
Halwa vella.
Oh yeah, Shindore.
Kana halwa.
Mysore Paku.
Mysore Pak.
Yeah.
Mysore Paku Shindore.
Yeah. So you can see this is very small room. This is we thought, okay, this is such a small room, but you will see. But it is heated. It was very cold out there. It was very windy. The bathrooms were interesting, I guess.
Yeah, but they were common bathrooms, but they were clean, hot water, right?
Yeah.
Hot water on demand.
Yeah,
hot water on demand. So, good night's sleep after a very hard hike, good food, good rest, good shower, and we were good.
On an average day, we had about 10 miles of hiking on an average.
Yeah, average of 10, 12 miles of hiking.
Oh, wow. How
much? I think at the end, eating is not a problem because we knew our calories will be spent accordingly. Most of us lost couple of pounds at the end of the hike.
Yeah. So here, here's the Vasant, go ahead on the food.
Yeah, this is this was our kind of first course of the dinner, I guess, that day.
Private room.
Yeah. Very nice, snacks, fruits, cheese, nice spread of nuts.
Great wine. Chilean wine from the what is it, Malbec and
Malbec.
Yeah, Malbec.
Yeah.
This was a very good way to unwind that day.
Yeah.
Right. Our after 10-mile hike, which was very strenuous. We took our time to hike because the main thing was, in addition to hike, we wanted to enjoy the scenery.
You can hear the wind here. Yeah, you can hear the wind next day morning.
Pointers point to everywhere.
Yeah. And there's the Go ahead. This is the
Dining room,
the dining room.
private dining room.
Yeah.
So,
So,
it is a refugee camp.
yeah,
Vasant, go
so
ahead.
we stayed in our sangha,
No, so we stayed in the bunk beds inside. So obviously, National Geographic made reservations for us, so it was all well planned. They expected us. They kept the private room, well stocked for us. Our dinner was planned. Everything was taken care of. If people went on their own, this is what if they didn't have the reservation, they could set up tent here. But remember, you heard the wind. You had to set up camp in the wind. If it was raining or snowing, you were stuck. So this is why, taking care of, spending a little bit more money, but getting the kind of comforts was a huge difference in us enjoying and really relishing the entire trip. So a big difference for us to being inside versus being outside.
So we were there just before the peak season. A lot of Argentinians, Brazilians, students come there on backpack. So these are the people who stay at these kind of campgrounds, and then these
Tents.
are warm,
Yeah.
very warmly kept houses.
So VP Mom, this is your tradition, right?
This is one of my dream was to come there and do this. I've done this about 3-4 times under different backgrounds. You will see as we go forward. This is just one of them. And this guy, the British guy who was walking by, he said, he came and joined me and said, do you mind if I do my headstand? I said, no, be my guest. So he joined me, and he's a typical British guy, but he was good. He's very fast. He did without any support. I'm using my head to support my whole body. He's doing it on his 2 hands. That requires much higher body.
Yeah. So next day morning, we'll head out. We finish having a good breakfast, put on our backpacks, and then Vasant take us on to Cornes del Paine.
Yes. So the next day was second part of the hike. So you can see the hike there. So if you see the left hand side, that's where we started from the glacier. The not the other way. From glacier we came down here, and then this is the second part of the W.
Yep.
That was the first part, and this is the second part. We start from there, go up over till there, and then come back and go to the next refugio.
Yep. And this is the W. This is the W that we wanted to show you, right? So this is the W. This is what we did, right? The first day. This is the refugio. Now Vasant is going to walk us through all the way up to here, and then to this hotel. So this W we did yesterday. Now we're doing this one, and then we're coming back to do and stay here. Okay.
Yeah.
On the left-hand side, the split shows the length of the hike, typically.
Yeah.
Correct. So
Yeah,
this
but
is
that
again
one.
another 10 minutes. You can see how the elevation gain, right? First part was very easy, and you can see the elevation goes up so steep. And next slide. Yeah.
And it wasn't just the steepness. I think it was also the terrain and the wind that makes a big difference, right? So it feels like Mission Peak, but it's Mission Peak times wind and snow and rain and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Go ahead.
This is a photo of the horns that we were talking about. We were now very close on the left hand side. We could see that. And so as we started hiking, it was a very clear day for us. So very beautiful. And this is a photo on the right hand side, what we see, the lakes. And our trail was in between these two. Look at that. It was a very clear day, very beautiful and sunny at this time of the day. So we were so lucky. And we started hiking. Yeah, we can see this closer and closer. Various different ice-capped hills. And yeah, this is an up-close photo we took. You can see the different layers of how the whole thing was formed. And this is how we would hike. Like there is in front of me, I think, there is Yasser, who is our guide. There's a guide in the front, 1 or 2 guides in the front, and 2 guides, one at the far end.
That's George.
So go ahead. So anytime we hike, this is how we hike. So that way nobody gets lost. As we move along, there are many bridges like this, wooden bridges. And everywhere we saw, they would say only 2 people at a time because of the way it is constructed. And almost everybody would honor that. Nobody would, go. And it's also risky if you go more than 2 people. And then this is where this is a stream, and then we saw this one of the native ducks. I think it's called Magellanic duck. There were many of them up there near the stream. Yeah.
Okay. And
this is the second camp, right? Yeah. This is the next part of this is where it gets even steeper, right? So our guide told us, if you don't want to go, you can stay here and we'll come back. Every day as we hiked, they would say, okay, how are you doing? Like halfway through. And either we can go back with one of the guides, or you can stay where we are in a covered place while the rest of the team continues. And they would warn us, the rest of the part, the weather is going to be like this. It's going to be windy. It's going to be snowing. It's going to be bad terrain. If you're not ready, or if you're tired today, you can stay here or you can go back. And those are the options we would get. So, and then anyway, so we continued, all of us. As the warning came, right? This is where the terrain was, right? Big boulders. Reminded me of something where VP and I had done called Mount Dana, right? In Yosemite. This is a smaller version of it. Mount Dana was even brutal. Yeah.
But this is the terrain. This is the terrain you're walking across.
Yeah. By the way, that water stream we saw, we could, fill our water bottles there, and we carried water. Many of the times we would fill water bottles from the streams because the water was so clean. Yeah. So this is another.
This is the trail.
This is the trail. This is the trail. You can see. Yeah. As you can see, it getting harder and harder, windier. And you remember, like, it was sunny half an hour ago, and you can already see it's cloudy. And we continue. Boulders are becoming bigger and bigger. So we finally reach a place, and it started raining and snow. And as we went further, the rain became snow because of the elevation gain. And it happened like in no time, right? And you can see here behind us the snow. And I think that one of there's Vino enjoying the wind. And behind us, you can see the snow falling. And if we were not prepared in layers, we would not survive in something like this. The plan for us was to continue further from here.
Selfie king.
But our guide said, there is no point because the weather is so bad further from there. So it's better for us to go back. So we continued down. We have to come down for the W.
Hello.
This is Venu enjoying. This is one of the
There if you want.
wooden bridges. Yeah. And we started hiking down again, and you can see now as we came down, the clouds, that's where we were. And we started hiking down and on way to our next refugio.
Uh-oh.
Oh. So by the time we ended, this was like a few minutes from the next refugio. We needed to be there. And then Venu would just, this is him pretending to be tired. But he was pretty good. So this was the second refugio we came. It's called Refugio Cabanas. Taka Cabanas at the Kazaki. I forget the name of the hotel. Do you remember, Venu?
beginning Gallant.
Why? But anyway, so we checked in and we came down for some drinks and snacks and dinner. So this is this you can see this. This is for me. This was one of the highlights, right, of all the places I stayed at. Little cottages in the middle of nowhere, right? And they had moon kasam mantaka, moonroof, right? And two beds, one for me, one for Venu, and there was you can see the heater, and you can see outside. The weather was very cloudy, but soon it became very nice. And this is the sunset we saw, and this is from our room, right? So beautiful. I was like we were feeling like, oh man, this is so good. But it was cloudy though, so we were hoping for a clearer day next day. So as sunset, you can see, and this is a video of the surrounding where we are. That's the sunset. And there were only around, I don't know, like 15, 20 cabanas like what we stayed at.
Yeah.
If you didn't have the booking, then you have to do a camping. So, and this is the Cuernos in the background. This is next day morning, I think.
Yeah.
When we got up, because it got clearer. But anyway, so we did that was the longest hike we did. I think one of the longest hikes. We were so tired. We did our dinner and we went to sleep. And middle of the night, I somehow woke up and this is what I saw from our moonroof. And I woke up. This photo, I did not take this photo because a friend of mine had gone, and she took 2 weeks later. She took this one and she sent it to me. But it's the same place you can see in the background, right? And our cameras were not equipped. Like you have to have a still tripod and all that to capture something like this. But this is what we saw from our eyes. It was so beautiful, amazing. Right? It was windy a little bit, very, very cold. But Venu and we stood out, half an hour, Venu, outside?
Yeah, we tried to take a picture with our cameras, but it never does justice like this, which is why, we were not prepared to take a picture, with a tripod and all the things we needed to get a picture like this. So.
But if you're into photography, you should definitely do that.
Yeah,
and that's
amazing.
Yeah. And this is next day morning, clear day. We're getting ready for the next leg for the hike. Yeah, we're going to go.
All right. So next day we obviously had a very good breakfast. The weather was going to be very clear. And so our guide said, look, you don't need to put on, all the rain gear that you thought you needed the previous day. Put that inside. It's going to be warm. So we started making sure that we had it ready, but we didn't have to wear it. So we were, as you can see, we were ready, but we're not prepared to kind of, it wasn't going to be as warm as the previous, cold as the previous evening. So we started hiking again all along the lake to our next destination, which is another hotel. And this was going to be a fairly long hike, but fairly flat to some level. So all along the lake, we started hiking, expecting to be at the hotel by about 3, 4 in the afternoon. And little did we know that halfway through, we started seeing some of the spring flowers popping up, right? And this one is called was it a mother-in-law's bush, is it? Right?
Correct, mother-in-law bush.
Yes, because it's very thorny, and I'll leave it at that before people start talking about why it's called mother-in-law's bush, okay? And this one is obviously VP Mom doing his thing.
Look at the background.
Yes, look at the background. And we start taking these pictures for granted, but it was amazing time for us to stand there and get pictures. And then halfway through, we realized that, this is lunchtime. and there was a nice surprise they had for us on a rocky ridge overlooking the lake. They had spread out a very, very elaborate lunch without our knowledge. So they had actually hiked this in from the hotel that we were going to and brought fresh food for us so that we could have a nice lunch sitting by the lake on a rocky ledge. So, a great surprise for us to kind of enjoy really good food as we watched some of the people with burros and heavy gear take horses instead of hiking with them. So there's always different expeditions going by, and so we were sitting, having lunch right by the hiking trail, and we started seeing which became a fairly common sight. And these are what is it called? Guaranos?
Guanacos.
Guanacos. Thank you. I always make a mistake. Right?
They are the cousins of llamas from Peru.
Yes. So here's a picture of a guanaco, which is what in the olden times, this was meat for the people that were living here. So they would use every part of this in their daily lives. And this is the hotel that we were getting to. So late in the afternoon, we get to the hotel. And as you can see, it is crystal clear, quiet, very few people because early in the season. And this is the hotel where we're going to be staying at. And this is an example of the view we took from the breakfast area. And we sat down, we had dinner that night, obviously great dinner. And next day morning, we started getting, as you can see, the food was amazing. And,
a lot of wildlife in the hotel area.
Yeah, so this one, is it a fox?
This is a native gray fox. Yeah.
So South American fox, I think, yeah?
Yeah.
Yep. Andean fox. So again, this was just, walking by, and, Vasant was lucky enough to get a shot of it. So next day morning, again, this was one of the many, landmark hikes. So we're going to get to the base of the three peaks that you saw from the video, and we start what we saw from far away. So we were going to hike towards that with 11-mile hike for an average of 8 to 10 hours, and starting from the hotel and coming back to the hotel. So
we're still in Chile, though, right?
Yeah, this is still in Chile. We're still in Chile, and this is the last leg of the W. So this is where we were, and we were going to hike up all the way through the mountains to the base of the Torre del Paine. These are the Los Torres. This is the three peaks. So, Vasant, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah. So we start there. So as you can see, first leg was very steep, then it got a little flat, and then the last leg was again very, very steep. So next one, Venu. So this was the satellite terrain map, right? How we went. And yeah, so you can see here, what you see there is the trail that we took. We had to cross all the way there, and then cross to the other side, and then continue. When the guide was saying that, we were like, "Whoa, man, this is so hard." But it's one step at a time, right? Just like any other hike. So here we are entering again Torres del Paine National Park. There was some signs. We can see the horns very close. You can see how the trees and other things change. On the way, we stopped by for some snacks, and this is like real forest kind of place. Like it's in the middle of somewhere, full of trees, which is very different from the prairies and other things we saw.
Yeah, but this is also the last stop. This is also the last stop, right? Before we climb up.
Correct. And this was because we were in this kind of area, it was less windy. And this is where they would ask us to, now is the time for you to put on, your wind jacket and other stuff.
Yep. And also, if you decide not to go up, they would explain exactly how steep the terrain was going to be. And then we could make the choice of staying back and going back or continuing on. So it was a very, very thoughtful way of proceeding with a break to say, okay, we're going to climb. So you've got to be ready. Here's the layers you need to put on. here's what the terrain you're going to feel. So be prepared.
So we continued on, as you can see. So it's getting harder and harder, and you can see more boulders and
This is the trail.
cloudier. Yeah, that is our trail, and you can see the horns behind there. This is one of the classic photos we took, Venu and I, having fun in between. No matter how tired we were trying to have good fun. And this is CC. Venu and CC. CC is our guide. Always smiling. Very lots of information.
And there's the trail, right?
This is the final leg before we reach the horns. And the boulders were really, really hard. Here it was very hard. We had to slow down a little bit because of that.
And then you'll see, so what you'll see, Vasant, is also, there was a condor. So you'll see CC talking about, hey, there's a condor. And I'll flip the video. So be mindful of that. So here's the, please listen. You saw that? That was a condor that you saw there.
They fly very, very high at,
And it's very rare to see a condor, so it was very lucky.
There are a couple of times we could see them very close.
Yeah. But now you see the terrain, you feel the wind, you see the steepness. And that's the view from the other side. So we were taking the view from here, right, Vasant?
Yeah, correct. Yep. And now as we were coming up, we were taking photos for other people coming up. So anyway, so we continued on. You will feel like, oh, how far is it? So finally we reach almost there. We are almost there. And those are the horns that Venu showed in the beginning of the thing from the airplane. This is where it was. So so other thing is that if you see that green thing, that's the lake right below the Cuernos. So we have to go up and then go a little bit down to go near that lake. I wish the weather was a little less cloudy so we could get better photos, but but this is what it is. So at least it was this clear.
Yeah.
But it was very, very windy again.
Yeah. And then work our way down.
Now we work our way back to the hotel. This is the overlook, and they were talking about about the place. Horses on the way down, and as we get closer to the hotel, yep. This is another native bird to the area.
Kara.
Yeah, southern crested Kara. Sandy.
Yeah, somebody said Kara there, right?
Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, southern crested Kara.
Yeah.
All right. So then we
come back. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. And dinner, right?
Every day, we come back and we talk about our experience for the day. Here, Kumudaka, VP, and talking to Sandy.
Sandy, yeah.
Yeah. Sandy.
Watch two things here though: Fanta and chini lime.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, this lady had some kind of surgery like few weeks before she came here. And she is what? How old is she, Venu?
So that was Janice. This one, she broke her ankle.
Yeah.
No, her toe was blue, and she hiked the entire trip with a blue toe inside her boot.
And we spoke to her yesterday.
Yeah. And Janice, who was also on the hike, had got knee surgery about a month before Patagonia hike, and she did the entire trip as well. So amazing.
Oh, can you go back one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see the chili lime, which was in high demand. I think Venu brought it with him. It's one of the many things he brought.
And Venu drinks a lot of Fanta, that's why he's orangey.
Chile lime from Trader Joe's, Venu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chili lime savior, man. When everything is bland, add a bit of chili lime.
The bottle was empty by the time we came.
Good idea.
Yeah, yeah. And then we this was very spontaneous. We were sitting at breakfast the next morning, and we had this herd of horses for almost 30 seconds, close to about 50 to 60 horses thundering across, going to the stable. So it was an amazing sight to see all these horses, wild horses, but still going to the stable. So amazing sight to see in real life.
Arjuna and Krishna were in the front.
Yes, yes.
So
All right.
finally, we completed that W. You can see it, Venu.
Yes. So
W is for win.
yep. So we did this one, we did this one, we did this one, and then we stopped halfway because of the weather. We came back, we stayed here, and then we went to the Hotel Patagonia, and then we did this one, which was the 3 peaks, and we came back. So we just finished the entire W, and now we are headed off to Argentina. So this is the view of the hotel. And as we depart, VP Mom, we want to take us across Argentina.
Argentina. Okay, let's let's move. So the target is to go to Hotel Destino Sur. Let me see. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, we went to that ranch. We crossed the border.
Yeah. This is on the bus, right?
Yeah, this is on the bus. It was an 8-hour drive.
Oh, okay. Lago Argentino. Yeah, I think this is Lake Argentina.
Yes.
And on the bus ride, we can see so many crossings with these guys. The guanacos crossing, you won't believe it. They're in herds of 10, 20. You have to be very careful. They're like California animals crossing here, deer and all. So it was kind of a relaxed bus drive. I think in between we stayed for lunch.
VP Mom, I think CC is talking too. She gives a nice explanation.
Oh, okay, let's listen. Volume check hot cook.
I can Venu.
I can.
No.
I can.
I wish I was closer to when I was recording that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Got it. Okay, so go ahead. Crossing to Argentina.
I think this is on the way. There was bus stops. I don't know if this is before border crossing or after border crossing. This one, this store.
This is before.
Before.
Yeah, that's what. Yep. So we take pictures wherever we could, but it's all flat terrain. Control, agenda, main police control.
Yep, police.
Between Argentina and Chile. There's a long line of cars and buses waiting to cross. You got to take your passport and get it stamped. Passport control was pretty strict everywhere.
And we could, the one thing we could differentiate is roads in Chile versus Argentina. As we entered Argentina, our guide said, welcome to Argentina. Massages are free. The road conditions were that.
Oh, I see. Bumpy roads.
Right.
Yeah, bumpy roads. Yeah, and we had to change guides too because in Chile, Argentina's the guides we had in Chile were different. The guides in Argentina were different. So we switched guides at the hotel at the next hotel as well.
So the Argentina and Chile, the history is they had a lot of skirmishes when they split the country. And Patagonia was decided in a way that was, they had to really cut the deal. And you will see a little town, El Chaltan, was an agreement as part of that. We will go there soon.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of, just like Pakistan and India, a lot of areas, territories, but I think then it became more quiet. It's peacefully settled now, but we are passing through all those areas which were in the beginning in contest.
Time is 3:20, by the way. So I think we
Yeah, I
need
know.
to
So
go.
that's why we had lunch here. Yeah, we had lunch here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had. So it was a nice ranch lunch, and Vasant was very lucky to get a video of this.
Yeah, somebody said there is a peacock, so I skipped the stop eating and I went there, and I was so lucky to get this. Right, this is actually a video, and if you can fast forward, Venu, so you can see I could see the whole. Yeah.
That's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, worth it.
It gave me a good dance.
Venu,
There you go.
dance here you go. Amel Gaucho.
Amel Gaucho, right? And then this is the view from the on the way, and we finally get to
Destino Sur.
Yep. So this is the hotel we stayed at in El Chalten, and then we had dinner that night. Nice dinner. Actually, candlelit dinner because of the power outage.
Brand new hotel.
Yeah. So really nice hotel. Great food. I'm fast tracking, guys, because we're starting to run out of time. We got 20 minutes to finish another 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
So, Vasant, this is me, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead,
so next day morning is one of the main hikes, again, to the bottom of Mount Fitzroy. So Fitzroy was one of the many peaks that, what was the guy that climbed Yosemite free solo?
Alex.
Alex.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Yeah. So he to hike here during the winter in Northern Hemisphere. Come here, stay in El Chalten, and hike and then climb Fitzroy. So we're going to get to the bottom of Mount Fitzroy, and this is the trail. So we get to the bottom of I think we drove somewhere, and then we started getting to the bottom of Mount Fitzroy over here. So it's a very, very beautiful hike and a very steep climb to the bottom of Fitzroy. So we started from here and we went here. We started from here. We took that bus all the way here, and they dropped us off here, and we hiked all the way down. And we were given a choice to whether to climb Fitzroy. So some of us chose to climb Fitzroy, and others decided to go back to El Chalten. So on the way, you'll see this lake. On the way, you'll see these glaciers, and you'll see us getting to the bottom of Mount Fitzroy and this lake over here. So proceeding on, this is Mount Fitzroy, right on the right-hand side. And we start seeing the glaciers that I showed in the previous picture, right? The glacier with the Mount Fitzroy in the background. And you start seeing, us taking and stopping pictures. And that's the lake I showed you on that video, on that topography map of the video. Yeah, with the glaciers melting into the lake, and then the glaciers falling off from the mountains behind. So beautiful, beautiful view. And we stopped many, many times to take pictures like these.
Looks like Mount Kailash.
Yes, exactly. And this is that woodpecker, a Magellanic woodpecker.
Redhead.
Yeah, red-headed woodpecker. I'm hoping that the video will kick in.
We have to be very quiet when we go on a hike like this because they're pretty sensitive.
Yeah. So then, amazing pictures, amazing day, amazing weather. And that helped us to get, 360-degree panoramic views like this one that I took off my cell phone. Right. This is just off my cell phone, taking a panoramic view. So that gives you how clear it was for us to hike that day.
No touching, no nothing, right?
Nope, nothing. Right. So again, just because I had a high-end camera, it gives you the zoom effect that you can see how close and how ragged those glaciers are. And this is the iconic picture you saw early on. We stopped off in the middle of the flat area with Fitzroy in the background. And this, they brought the National Geographic flag, and we were able to take a group photo here. And this is where we decided whether some people wanted to continue on to the bottom of Fitzroy or some people wanted to continue on. So some of us chose to go, and VP Mom doing his thing.
This is one of the best I like.
Yes.
The background.
And then we started,
yoga there.
Enjoying a little bit, taking a bit of time before we rested and continued on. Kumudaka, doing another yoga pose.
Tree pose.
Yeah. And then we started climbing. So this was the area where we rested. And this is the hike. So this is the trail, as you can see, very rocky. And we started getting up this trail to get to the bottom of Mount Fitzroy. And
this looks like Mount Dana now. Totally.
Yeah, very rocky, very steep, very narrow. So we had to really be careful walking, always in line, and always giving way to other people as they climb, as they come down.
Social distancing.
Yes. And this is the lake that glaciers water feed into, and then that feeds into Lake Argentina. And this is the area where we were sitting when we took the National Geographic flag photo, and we walked our way up. And we're starting to see snow, climb into snow. Starts to get cold and windy, but sunny. And we really started getting to see the grandeur of Mount Fitzroy. And then we start to get to what we realized then was a frozen lake. So this is a frozen lake at the bottom of Mount Fitzroy that all these snow melts into, and it's frozen. Spring, it started melting. But we were able to really, walk on ice, walk on the lake, have a bit of fun waiting there, having lunch, spend about 20, 30 minutes there, enjoying the view. We saw some cross-country skiers climb up and then ski down this lake, this snowpack. So amazing to see these small dots of people climbing up these snow peaks and then skiing down. So then we decided to kind of leave. And then our guide said, well, there's something else you want to see. You want to take left and climb that hill over here. I'm like, what? This hill over here? Like, yeah, why don't we go over there? So we climbed that hill on this left-hand side. And you see this ridge over here. We had no idea what was on the other side of the ridge. I thought it was just mountains. Little did we know that beside this lake over here, there is this lake on this side. So literally 100 meters apart, spread across by that ridge, there was a lake that was not frozen, fed by the glacial water, and literally 100 feet on the other side, maybe 50 meters on the other side, is a frozen lake. It's an amazing, jaw-dropping view when you stand in the middle of Fitzroy in the background, a blue lake on the left-hand side, a frozen lake on the right-hand side, and you're standing there enjoying this view.
Venu, I think Kailash also has similar natural thing. Amazing scientific.
Yeah.
Look at that water.
Beautiful.
Serene.
So we finally start working our way down. Sorry. Finally start working our way down back to.
This is the El Charlton town.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I love this town. Hey, little story on this.
Yeah.
People the Argentina was giving free land here for people willing to come and stay here. The offer is still on, including KAOCans, but you should be able to speak Spanish. But it's a very picturesque town. You won't believe it. Filled with breweries.
Beautiful town. Yeah, it's the entryway. Yeah, it's entryway into Patagonia from the Argentinian side. It's amazing view.
Yep.
So next day, we decided to do another hike. And this is another long hike, 11-mile hike, 6 to 7 hours. So Vasant, you want to take us through?
It's called Cerro Torre. Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't we speed this up, Vasant?
Yeah. So this is the hike. You can see it's very steep. So we took from one side, and coming back we took another route. This is a satellite map. And this was interesting. This was very hard. Again, 10 miles, 11 miles, I think. So go to the next one. Oh, we got to see this thing called Andean deer. They're only around, I think, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 such. It's an endangered species. So we were so lucky to see.
And this was like
one.
what, about 30, 40 feet from us.
Yeah.
And I did not zoom, guys. This was off a video. This was not a zoom. This was straight off the camera that I was standing at.
So our guide just said, be quiet, just stay there. We were there for like 10 minutes just watching. And eventually she left.
Yeah, well, actually we left. She stood there. We left. We're done.
Yeah.
They all have RFID in there. No, they do.
Yeah. Go to the next one, Navenu.
Yeah.
Speed up. So eventually we reached this place. This is the most windiest place I have ever been to. Like even
95 kilometers on the way we got there.
Kitli mal to hai?
95 kilometers per hour.
Yes. And there is a reason why VP Mom is standing like that. Because there are places we had to hold Kumudaka, I remember.
Kumudaka is 110 pound, I'm 125.
Yeah. In the middle of that, this wooden structure, they called Estancia. And then, so we go inside, and previous day we had said that, okay, we are kind of tired of this Spanish food. Somebody suggested, and he's like, what do you want? So we said, pizza would be. So in the middle of nowhere, we go inside, and there was.
Pizza.
Huh?
We said pizza, right?
Yeah.
How we go?
So there's pizza waiting for us. So they had to bring all the ingredients from somewhere to feed us.
Yeah. So in the middle of the windy part of Argentina in Los Glacios National Park, we're having pizza when it's blowing 95 kilometers outside, overlooking a lake.
Somebody's rain cover came off. It flew like 20 meters.
This place has rooms if people want to come stay here.
Yeah, somebody's.
Forward kare, Venu. Yeah. So we had wine, pizza. Then we started heading back. Go. Some more lakes. Oh, there was this one, another interesting part. So as we were hiking, there was one green lake on one side, and on another side it was blue lake. Very interesting. This is a video. So the green lake you saw, and this is blue lake.
Yeah, I've got a picture of it. Here you go.
Yeah.
So we were walking right down the middle, and you'll see blue here and green here. So amazing, two different constructs.
Yeah. Continue.
Okay.
I think this was a short hike one day, right?
Yeah, this is a short hike. Yes.
This day, like people are like getting tired, and we asked like, what is there? And then I think we said, okay, let's cut down today because the weather was also not good.
So this was going to be the weather all the way. It was going to be rainy and windy. And CC said, so, who wants to continue for another 2 hours of a hike back one way? And it was a unanimous decision of, no, we're all going back. So everybody turned back. We worked our way down back into El Chalten and enjoyed ourselves. Some nice chai in the afternoon.
Yeah, Venu's chai, snacks you can see. Very nice.
Yeah, Mangala stocked me up very well. So we had masala chai, we had cardamom coffee, we had chakuli mixture. Yep, the works for
Mysore
nice
pak.
tea. Mysore pak.
Venu, sign me up next time you're going.
This is Pedro on one side, Jose on the other side. Really.
Yeah.
These are our guides explaining us, how
these guys have scaled those towers like 4 times.
Yeah. They showed us videos of them climbing Mount Fitzroy. They had a GoPro camera and they walked us through like an hour's presentation. So amazing experience for us to enjoy, us not being mountain climbers.
And all of them are houses in El Chaltén,
Yeah.
the picturesque town.
All right. So next day morning, go ahead. We got to
So
go.
this is the house of house built by someone called Madsen, one of the Danish guy who came to this area very long time ago, like 18 something.
Yeah.
They built the house and they preserved that as a museum now. So we got to go see there. Continue.
Yeah. So we stopped off at the ranch.
Estancia.
Yep. Okay. So is this me, Vasant?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So we leave El Chaltén on our way to El Calafate, which is the final destination point where we get to see the glaciers. And on the way, we had to stop for lunch. So again, Argentinian prairie, driving down. We stop off at a ranch called La Estela. And we're like, where are we going? So we go through this gate and we drive for like maybe 3-4 kilometers, which is their ranch. And we go in and we see this fantastic house right next to Lake Argentina, which is where she said we were going to have lunch. So this family, private family, very rich family, I think he was the director, a movie director that bought this house, set this up as a ranch. And this is the view of Lake Argentina from their house. And basically they had set up lunch for us with wine, food, bread, drinks, everything, as you can see in the background, beautifully set for us in their dining room, and me enjoying it all alone, of course. But as you can see from the next, we all sat down, enjoyed beautiful, great lunch, great food, great wine, great company, in the middle of nowhere, in a private ranch. And then we headed on into El Calafate, stayed at the Wyndham there, rested, and that day evening we went to another ranch, and that ranch was almost reminded us of India back in the early 1900s, or our grandma's home. So Vasant, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, so this the photo on the left hand side you see is like a panoramic, actually 360 kind of thing. Yeah, it goes like that. It's actually flat. It looks like one of our chowdi in one of our houses, and you can see the photos how they are hung. If you go to my house, I see we have photos like that of our grandfathers. There is a singer machine somewhere, treasury on the right hand side, Samantaka. Yeah, that Almara.
Treasury, right.
Right. And then very interesting actually.
Yeah, so
And
there's the Almara, right?
Yeah.
Reminds us of a grandparents' house, right?
Yeah. Photos.
And then there is the an old phone.
Yeah.
Right, and there's the typewriter. And there's the singer machine.
Yeah.
Sewing machine.
Yeah. So anyway, so this guy has been here since early 1800s. I think his great grandparents came from Scotland. He's a sheep farmer, so he showed us around. Go to the next photo. Yeah, there's a ham radio. This is the only way they could communicate back in the day, because it's in the middle of nowhere. These are the sheep. Look at that black one there.
Black sheep?
Black sheep. And then they would skin the foxes that come attack their sheep.
Dinosaur
Yeah. So because I think what they said was there was an archaeologist that came from I think Europe or the US, and they were digging for dinosaur, and they found a lot of them, and they shipped them off to the museums. And there was one that was left over, and when they were finishing off, the guy said, look, you still have one bone left over. He's like, nope, you can keep it. Don't tell anybody that you have a dinosaur bone in your backyard. So literally he has stored it in his yard. And that's a true dinosaur bone that they had excavated 30, 40 years ago that he stored in his barn. Cooking food for us, yes. They mark the sheep.
This is the dinner.
Dinner at his house.
Yeah. All right, the final day. So the final day, we get up next day morning at the Wyndham Hotel, and we drive for like 2 hours to get to this cruiser. And we were like, okay, there were about 200 people in front of us. We were like, okay, we're going to be in the middle of all these people, looking for windows to find a picture of the glacier. And as we go in, our guide, Cece, says, why don't you turn left over here? That's ours. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, this is our area. And as we go in, we realize that there's an entire private room. That's the door. This entire back of this boat was reserved for us.
With one chef and 2 servers.
With one chef, sous chef, and 2 servers, and unlimited food and drinks, as you can see here, right? And so we had an entire private room set up for us with this back balcony kept aside that allowed us to see at any time we wanted all the glaciers that we were passing by and take as many pictures as we wanted. So it was an amazing time for all of us. That's obviously the glacial ice that we just picked up and handle. Close pictures of glaciers that we were just driving, passing by. And there's the Perito Moreno Glacier that carves off fairly often because of the global warming. And we got to see it much close and personal. For all the drinks that we were having, it was glacial ice. And it was the final night before we headed off the next day. So even yours truly, Venu, started drinking some champagne over here.
He was drunk by the time we came to the show.
Yeah, exactly. So
I don't think so.
So as you can see, I think it was one of the best trips we had. It was the last day evening, late evening. So we finished off the night with the one final picture, and then we decided to go back and get a closer view. So there's actually a hike that you can go to get a closer view. So we got off the boat, went to the visitors center. There's a hike down to a viewing area, and this is where we're able to see the Moreno Glacier up close and personal. So as you can see, very, very clear, very blue, and there's a picture of panoramic view. That's how blue that ice was. So we start heading back after some pictures of the glacier that we've all seen in pictures or in videos on National Geographic. One final dinner, one final evening where we all sit down and and share stories before we head out the next day to the airport and off to Buenos Aires and off home. So we're all going to Buenos Aires that night and that evening. So we all waited in the airport together and headed off to Buenos Aires. So VP Mom, Kumudaka, and Vasant stayed one night and headed out next day morning, and they got to see a bit of Buenos Aires. So guys, you want to speed it up a little bit so I can do Iguazu and close?
We were asking people like, what do we do in Buenos Aires? And somebody said you should go visit the cemetery. I was wondering, what is the cemetery? Why do you want to go there? But this is outside of a hotel. This is a cemetery actually. So each of the tombstones, they're like kasamancha. It's like a small house there, and very rich people. They reserve places for them to be buried there. VP.
Evita's is there too. Evita, that lady who ran Argentina.
Yeah.
Correct.
So yeah, there was a very interesting place. You can see how big each of the burials are. They spend a lot of money on these, like hundreds and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Each one is unique. And sometimes there are like multiple people from the family.
And this is how old it is, right?
Yeah.
So this is one of the ex-presidents.
Yeah.
And then I walked around, and one of the parks, you can see, people doing, tango impromptu. And this architecture over here, these petals open during the morning and close in the evening. So it's solar driven. So it's an amazing view. Very clear, beautiful day, as you can see. And this is a picture that I took, which we found was very unique. This very, very old tree, and you see this person like an atlas, making it look like he's holding up that tree. So I found it very unique in the middle of Argentina, in the middle of Buenos Aires, a very old banyan tree being, made into an architectural artifact.
This is another street tango
Yeah.
dance. Continue, Karvik. Oh, sorry.
Kumuda and I tangoed there.
Yeah.
Life is a tango.
And then I think you guys left that we had dinner that night in an Indian restaurant, and then you guys left the next day, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Buenos Aires is one of the, it's called Paris of the Latin America.
Yeah.
Beautiful city. We actually, Vasant, me and Kumar did about 10 to 12 miles of city with both buses and on our feet. It's amazing. We have hundreds of pictures, but city is beautiful.
So next day morning, my colleague, his wife, and I, we decided to take a day trip from Buenos Aires into Iguazu Falls. Iguazu Falls is the largest falls. It has more volume than Niagara Falls, and it was an amazing site to go visit. So this is an aerial view. It's a stock photo, but that gives you the grandeur of what Iguazu Falls is. So this is the Brazilian side, and this is the Argentinian side. So you get a great view of Iguazu Falls from the Brazilian side, and from the Argentinian side, if you see this bridge over here, is where I was able to stand tall. So that's where I would be in a few pictures from now, and that gives you a good view of what the grandeur of Iguazu Falls is. So basically, I was able to go from this visitor center over here and be standing right on the edge of this. So flew that morning, took an early flight in, like 6 a.m. flight, got in at 8 o'clock, went to the national park. We had a guide that showed us around, German guide, and we started seeing, in the little swamps over there, alligators. We had an anteater just walking around, like we see monkeys in India, anteaters walking around. And then this is the train that we took into to get to the falls. So as you can see, look at the scenery now. It's very tropical, very rainy. This is 2 hours from Buenos Aires, and Patagonia was windy and cold and snow. So dramatic shifts in just the scenery. And so we're walking along a boardwalk above the river, and we get to being close to the falls. So this is how close we could get to the falls. And like I said, it's very much like Niagara Falls, but you have 30, 40 different falls falling into one, as opposed to one big one. And it's soaking wet because the water vapor, the mist coming from the waterfall is amazing. So we decided, you know what, this is great, but in Niagara Falls, there's Made of the Mist. So Made of the Mist gets you close to it enough to feel the rain, feel the mist. But actually in Iguazu Falls, they do better. There's actually a boat you can take, a speedboat you can take. And it allows you to get not just close to the waterfalls, but under the waterfalls. And so Rajiv and I basically decided to take the speedboat. So we thought we were all well covered up. Well, little did we know that we would be soaking wet. And so we took the speedboat, and we got to actually have them park that speedboat under that waterfall that you see here. So you actually turn the speedboat and park it under the waterfall. So you're soaking wet for like 30 seconds.
That's amazing.
I think we can post the video on the KAOCA thing.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't do it justice when you stream on,
Okay. Yeah, I'll post it there. So this is the last stop. So this is called Triple Frontier. So on the left is Paraguay. On this side is Brazil. And I'm standing in Argentina. So this is called the Triple Frontier, where, people from Brazil just, hop over a bridge and you're in Argentina, or hop over a bridge and go to Paraguay. So it's a very, very unique place in terms of how all three countries come together in one location. So this is the last slide before we head back to Buenos Aires, and the next day morning I headed off to San Francisco. So to close up on things, right? Vasan, you want to kind of take this from here? This is what we saw. Go ahead.
Right. So these are the things that we had been promised, and we actually were so lucky to see Andean condor several times, guanacos, southern crested caracara, Andean deer, gray fox. We got to see a lot of birds and animals as part of the the whole adventure. So final thoughts are, it was the best experience of a lifetime for sure. So we got to drink the freshest water ever, anywhere. You could feel that water is different, like cleanest air. It was so good. Remotest place on the earth. Like for me, particularly, that was the first time I got to see southern hemisphere, and it was when it was it was spring there when it was getting winter here. We hiked around 110 miles. Best weather. The group was really good. We were lucky in that. Awesome and knowledgeable guide. The guide was really, really, really good. She's been working with the National Geographic for over 20 years, and we are still in touch with them. Like we had 2-3 WhatsApp calls with the group, and we are already planning our next trip together. So our recommendation is go with the experienced organization. It makes a big difference, especially when you don't know the language, when you don't know the terrain. You're in the middle of nowhere. If something happens, National Geographic will take care of you. Be prepared, and they really mean it, right? Hiking boots, plan for 4 seasons, all in one day. Sunscreen, you need sunscreen. I had to have it because I am very sensitive to sun. Rain gear, hiking poles, and this is Patagonia. So it is Patagonia weather. So we had a really awesome experience. And for us, for me, like VP Kumuda being there and Venu, I couldn't have imagined any better roommate. Yeah. So question and answers. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Add anything else?
There are a lot of questions in the
Chat window was the questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
You should take it.
Okay, the first question I think, Venu, is how long was the trip and what was the cost? The total, the expedition itself was I think 13 days, and then in addition we had to add a day here and there for us to get from San Francisco to Chile and from Buenos Aires back. And the cost was shared two-room sharing. It was 7,000, 8,000, something like that.
Yeah,
you remember?
It was about $6,800.
Yeah, $7,000.
Yeah,
just for the expedition.
Yep.
And air travel is on our own on top of that.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
And if you have to stay in Chile and Argentina, like Santiago and Buenos Aires, that's additional.
Yeah.
So overall, I would say around $8,000.
$8,000. About $8,000. Yes.
And you have to prepare for the trip as well, right? So you need to do.
Yeah. We did. Yeah, Vasant and I did. I think PG&E and Black Mountain 2 or 3 times every 2 weeks we did that, right?
Yeah. Right. And anybody can do it. It cannot be your first hike for sure. But if you've done hike locally here, you can definitely do. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Also, as a team, we have done many times. Yosemite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the next question is, where are you going next? We're planning to go. We're working on a trip to Mont Blanc in Switzerland. We're trying to go as a group in 2021. And always Kailash Manasarovar is on our bucket list as well. So between those two, something is going to happen.
Yeah, we also wanted to go to
Kilimanjaro.
Kilimanjaro. I really wanted to go there.
Yeah.
For the end of the year, but
yeah,
I
that's
guess
also on the bucket.
Can't do it this year. Any other questions?
Question
my question is, sir.
Yeah.
Fantastic presentation and wonderful scenery and all. But this question is for Vasant and VP. That itil duru asuno. Why didn't you continue to do Iguazu Falls?
For a couple of reasons. We thought, obviously, time limit is there, and then we'll do some other falls in the near future.
The Iguazu was added later on, and by that time we are already booked.
Much later, yeah.
And Venu had extra one day that he had planned already. So, and I had to come back early. So that was the thing. Otherwise, we would have done it.
Yeah. So this is Amita, and I have a question. Suppose you don't want to do you can't do or don't want to do the hike. What are the other options to do Patagonia? I mean, other than, I know there are cruises and all around the fjords, but otherwise, what are the options? Is there like land? Can you do it on land, or what other ways can you see Patagonia? Because I've added that to my list now.
So a lot of people that we've talked to about Patagonia, they have done Patagonia, but they have not done the hikes. So they don't go to all the bottom of the the peaks that we showed you earlier, but they do the glacier. That's an easy thing to do. They can visit Lago Grey and get to the bottom of the glacier, the first part of the hike. So you can do that very easily. So between that, you get to see enough of Patagonia in terms of what it could be. So between the Lago Glacier, doing that, when the catamaran, there were other people in the room in the catamaran. So they were all day trippers. So they were kind of staying there for the weekend. They wanted to see the glacier. They hike a little bit back and forth. The early part of the hike, you can do that as a date hike and then come back. So, and then you can go to the other side and go to the Patagonia, Hotel Patagonia, where we saw the horses. So you can stay there as well. And then you can do day hikes there. So a lot of people do day hikes that we combined as multiple days.
And also Perito Moreno, you can do that. That's definitely an experience. That is, a must. Correct. And you don't have to hike there at all.
The glacier.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Very, very, very informative and amazing.
And if you're going, that Amita, one thing we did not do. My friend, she actually went to go see these king penguins. You should do that.
Definitely, yeah.
And if you're going south, Amita, and if anybody's going south all the way there, it's only another day to add Antarctica.
Oh wow, yeah. See, whenever we open up and I decide to go, I'll reach out to you guys and get tips from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, CC, our guide, was actually, I think 6 months ago, she was going to, after a hike in November, December, she was going to go on a boat into Antarctica as a guide.
Oh wow, yeah. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
So there was also a question on if there was any sickness. Ramdas Kamath from Apple Valley. So generally, the elevation that we went is really not that bad. It was up to 3,000, 4,000. The challenge was more on the terrain. The second was the wind. We don't experience 90 kilometers per hour kind of wind every day because this is the South Pole. Everything rotates around that pole. That's why the weather changes so fast. So there was no altitude-related sickness. It's more about handling the change of weather almost on an hourly basis. So that was something that we experienced in person. So compared to, I've done Peru, such as Machu Picchu, Inca Trail. There I got, relatively sick on the altitude, and the medication is more important here. The issue was how to handle the wind and changing weather. But otherwise, it's pretty safe as long as you go with the right company which takes care of you. That's why Venu was stressing that it's a company you need to really pay attention to, because if anything happens, these kind of things, they should be able to help you. This, you can always buy insurance and all, but nevertheless, it's good to have
so just to give you an example, guys. So somebody on our on one of our hikes, they sprained an ankle, just as an FYI. So immediately the guide said, okay, what can we do? So one of the guides went back with this person, and then they were able to arrange a car to pick them up, a boat to get them to the hotel where they started off with, a car to arrange them to meet in the other side of all the hikes. So that's the level of attention that a group like National Geographic can do when such things happen. If they do happen, when they don't happen, you're like, yeah, I don't need it. When they do happen, it's the difference between having a miserable time and having an amazing time.
Yep, I completely agree. And as far as me, I am being the most oldest person in the team. I was worried about, I hit 70 last week or last month. So I was worried about it, but I came out pretty, happy that I did this. That was one of the dreams both Kumar and I had it. So we were lucky to go with, Venu and Vasant. So they were our also, moral support throughout the, rough terrain to a large extent and a lot of food. So anyway, thanks, Venu and Vasant for all the support and happiness that we had together as a team.
Yep, we're one team.
Yep. So look forward to many others.
Yes.
So let's see. Any other questions that we may not have answered here?
VP ma'am, this is Uma. I have a question.
Bolo.
Does National Geographic also offer any other tours which are for less experienced hikers? And do they give you a list of all the gear that you need to have before you go?
Yes,
they give you everything.
Yeah, so Uma, because I subscribe to National Geographic, I got all the expedition stuff, and they send me brochures of. So this one was, they rated from 1 to 5, okay, and 1 is very easy. Obviously, 5 is very hard. This was a 4. Mont Blanc is a 5. So you can pick an experience or an expedition that gives you a mix of both, and then they have an expedition manager that will walk you through, that you can call and say, hey, this is the kind of, and you be fairly honest in terms of what your capabilities are, and they will tell you exactly what you need to do, how you need to prepare, what is awaiting you, all that stuff. So absolutely, there's so many different things that can be done with any kind of experience that you have, hiking or wanting to just go on a boat. So many ways you can do this. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's called National Geographic Expeditions. Uma, I'll send you a link, okay? It's really good.
Great, thank you.
Just one question. Did you have to make special arrangements for those cabins, or are they automatically part of the reservation?
Everything National Geographic arranged. Everything. We didn't have to do anything other than hike. We got there, the rooms were assigned to us, the keys were given to us, we settled in. When we came back, the food was ready.
Even we had in between the hotels that had the laundry system. It's all well known, so we knew where we were going to wash our, get our dirty things laundered. So that's all well prepared. Everything, food was, we could customize food. If anybody has allergy to this and that, they'll take care of that too. So this is all included in the price. It's slightly, more than, I would say. There is another company, Gate One. I've used Gate One. This is probably another 10% lower. But these guys take real, and terrain being as bad it is, I would rather go with if it is, you don't want to take risks of anything if the company is not taking care of you as much as what National did. Geography. Yeah. So that's the you don't need to take insurance, but they'll take care of you a lot of it.
Yeah. To add to that, a friend of mine, she went to Patagonia like 2 months, 2 weeks later, like in the same like last year, and she went on her own with her husband and two. Okay, just like you, they're yeah, she said, and maybe their kids are a bit younger. I don't know. She said for her it was harder. It was hard that she has to hike and then she has to plan everything on her own. That was her experience. She said, and I think in the end she may have saved $1,000 or $2,000 by doing that. But yeah, that's the price you pay, I guess.
Yep.
Right?
No chakli, no tinglode,
No,
no Mysore pak.
Mysore pak, no cardamom coffee, and no masala chai.
Yeah, like you hike like 10 miles, right? Which is like almost like 10 hours, and come back, and then you have to do everything on your own, plan, stand in the
We need
queue.
about 3,000 calories per day on an average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And then you have 2 kids. They're dependent on you, right? You have to think about them.
Yeah, and Manohar, just I know it's hard, but imagine you're standing in the middle of you were hiked, you had great lunch, and it's very bland food, and us Desis want something spicy, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they give you this salad and this cold sandwich. You're like, oh, this is great, and then out comes this little bit of chakuli with a bit of Mysore pak. Trust me, I'm the best friend that Vasant and VP Ma'am Kumuda had.
Chili lime also. Chili lime also.
Chili lime at lunch, dinner time.
And all packed by Mangala.
Yes. Yes. All planned by her. All planned by her.
That's a great idea.
Now, next time we'll even give our actual menu. Maybe
now my problem is hi kavatan makpulam mastrakimono.
The source of energy. Oh, by the way, we didn't mention one thing, very important. The mate tea, remember? Basant.
Isn't that?
The tea, mate tea, like, in Peru.
Oh, mate tea, yeah.
It's very important because in Peru also, the cocoa tea, which is like a highly, slowly, smooths your,
High altitude.
It's true. Even in Peru, it's very true. Even here, I bought a full bag of that. Once I came here, I bought 2 of those mate tea cups.
Mate. Chocolate she lagta?
No.
Does it taste like chocolate?
It's like a green tea. It's kind of bitter. The one in Peru, it's not Peru. Here it is called mate, M-A-T-E, and all these gauchos. Because there is nothing else to do. They take it and they go a little bit, woozy by end of the day.
Yeah, it's like in a big cup. And then all they do is that sediment stays the same. They just keep adding water.
Water.
Yes, and so they keep it for a week in the same cup, so it really gets richer and richer as you pour more water. And then I don't think they ever throw it. It's almost like it's there. Maybe once in 6 months they throw it, but it's really very rich.
Rich in all the whatever.
Yeah.
The green stuff that we need for the body. That's what they say. Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
I bought 2 of these actually.
To burn halwa?
No, Malari, it's not illegal. If you come from Peru, you can bring the cocoa.
आणि ತಂದು ಮಸ್ತ್ ನಮೂನೆ ಪೂರೆ right.
Hey, Vasant, Venu, and VP Ma'am. Thanks for showing me what all I missed.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're welcome.
One of the persons who was supposed to join.
You should have been there.
Yeah.
Vivek, you should have
Gayatri, haluchi, dur wachu naka disli tumaka.
She's maintaining video distance.
Ranjanappachi records at some parat play koredu.
Oh my God. Record band korete.
Yeah, we definitely missed you, Vivek.
Yeah.
We remember.
Yeah. But amazing travel story and amazing pictures.
Good thing is everybody was
and Vivek, we have an archive of about 3,000 pictures. We were trying to figure out which ones to add to tell the story.
Yeah.
And we were like, this is too many pictures.
Yeah, it was very nice, very well shared story. Like 2 hours kashi.
Right.
It's like spending a time in the present moment by bonding with fellow KAOCans. So it was very well organized. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mughal favorite part is the woodpecker and the frozen lake and it's nidadana.
Tinni photo petaita.
That's so sweet. Good job.
Venu, we saw Shanai Mom do dancing. Did you do karaoke singing there?
There you go.
Yeah, then I think they would have left me in Patagonia.
No man left behind.
They are like Bollywood films. They watch them.
Yeah.
I thought they would have asked you to sing.
They did. Actually, the driver was he used to say Shah Rukh Khan and the other Khan.
No, so actually, one of the funny moments was because we were all knew each other very well by the third, fourth day. One of the guides started off a fight, not a fight, but basically said, "Okay, who's better, Rolling Stones or Beatles?"
Yeah.
And that went on for 3 hours over dinner of people fighting and singing Rolling Stone songs and saying this sucks and this song is better and Rolling Stone sucks and Beatles sucks, and went on for almost from like 8 p.m. to like 11 p.m. We're like, guys, this is not a debate, but that's kind of how we started singing as well, is the various songs from Rolling Stone and Beatles. But yeah, not karaoke for sure, no Hindi songs.
And other amazing things, right? Things we have not talked about the group, right? There are a couple of guys were from the military and background. They were talking about their experience from there and things like that, which was very eye-opening for us, because we only hear about what's happening, but this is like behind the scenes.
Yeah, so
how they work.
So one guy was a ranger. So he was a ranger in the U.S. Army, and the other guy was another woman. Him and his wife. She was a head of logistics. She ran like 300-400 people, and she's still in the U.S. In U.S. forces. And then her husband, just got promoted to colonel. And yesterday we had a virtual send-off. We were part of his ceremony that he got promoted to colonel. And then next week, they headed off to Germany for a 2-year posting. So he's running all of the Western forces. And so we've become good friends now. Sorry?
We'll go with them to Mont Blanc.
Yeah, so we now have a place to station ourselves before we go to Mont Blanc, near Germany.
So only one piece of news that we had after this was bad news. One of the coaches we had, his name is George. We heard he just died, passed away in one of the hikes, I believe. I don't know. Do you guys know the more details on him?
No, he had a stroke up in the hike, and then they couldn't do anything because he had a stroke. But yeah, it was a shock for all of us to see George pass away. He was very young.
32, 33 years old.
Very young, very young.
And he has done this hike about 10 or 15 times, he says.
Yeah. And two of the people, Max and Cindy, for them, Patagonia was a test hike, because 3 weeks from then, in early December, they were going to climb Kilimanjaro. So they finished Patagonia, they went back home, they spent 3 weeks, and then mid-December, they were headed off to Kilimanjaro. So they just finished Kilimanjaro early January. So they shared with us some of the pictures. So, think of, Patagonia as a preparation for Kilimanjaro.
Everything was good. Yeah, fantastic. And we use our picture as part of our WhatsApp group. We are pretty active. All of us, all the 15, 16 people, we stay connected across the board, topics other than politics. So there's long-lasting benefits out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one of the people, Jyoti, had done, she had gone to Bhutan. So she hikes a lot. So she was showing us about what it's like to hike in Bhutan. So she did some of the Bhutan hikes. So, lots of ways for us to, now somebody's done Kilimanjaro, somebody's done Bhutan. So, good ways for us to kind of find out other ways to explore the world.
So 2-3 weeks from now, I'll be doing Israel and Jordan, my 18-day trip. I'm trying to recruit Arun and Sujata Kamath, but we did that last year, just about this time, 18 days. Fantastic, both Israel and Jordan. Very historic plus very religious background, we get to know. But our goal was to see both sides of the stories here. So we'll talk about that.
Okay, so thank you very much, VP and Chenoy and Venu.
Thank you.
Amazing presentation. We enjoyed a lot. And after 2 weeks, we will be having again the travel diaries. That time it will be Arun Kalyanpur and Chiliar Kalyanpur who will be going through a virtual journey of Australia and New Zealand.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you
Bye.
all. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
It's awesome.
Bye.
Bye, Khushi.
Bye.
Bye.